Welcome! This here's the painting process of a wolf clan totem from the book I've been writing. In the coming months will be some pretty big updates concerning the book on this channel, so keep an eye out for Devil Scholar Shepherd. Now, spirituality. What is it? Belief in the supernatural? Or is it something deeper? As someone with a very logical brain, I believe I've found a way to incorporate spirituality into my life in a healthy fashion, in a way that is compatible with both ancient and modern spiritual practices. Rationality and objectivity come first and foremost, but with the acceptance of our inherent subjectivity. Instead of viewing our subjectivity as a complete hindrance, I believe there's a way of marrying the two mindsets so that we might even embrace the subjective. I've learned that half measures are perfectly valid in many circumstances. Politics, for example. It's okay to have political opinions, but it's not healthy to allow them to interfere with one's personal relationships. There are bigger fish to fry, like what you'll eat that day. Spirituality is a great thing for everyone, however, most people would do well to keep themselves grounded in sensory reality, seeing as that is where we are experiencing life. There is an objective truth beyond us that should be pursued, but part of that objectivity is the inescapability of our subjective experience. Balance and versatility have served me well. Robert Johnson once said that a capacity for paradox and tolerance for ambiguity are the surest signs of maturity. Embracing the subjective, what no one else can experience for you, will aid in fulfillment. You don't need to howl at every full moon, become a monastic, or practice spellcraft, but understanding we experience the world through symbols and channeling our inner poet a little bit daily will help merge our curmudgeonly adult side with our suppressed inner child. Can also help connect us with our ancient roots depending on how far one wishes to take it. Let's take our inner archetypes as an example. You are not a single personality. In fact, you harbor multiple personas with their own individual wants and needs. Some of them must be tamed, others need healing, and others just want some acknowledgement. They're inside you whether you like it or not. Ever blown up at someone or said something you didn't mean? That came from somewhere, and is almost certainly a side of yourself that you have either suppressed or refused to address. That was you, or rather, a part of you. Try identifying these personas, like your inner trickster or lover or artist or soldier. When you can identify your inner personalities, that is when you can begin working with them towards a harmonious inner world, which will translate to the outer. I have an inner artist, an inner gangster, an inner analyst, hell, I even have an inner sorceress, and lots more. And so do you. You might even find some of these archetypes have names aside from their titles. Converse with them, get their perspective. They might not be literal people you can face materially, but they affect the objective world and are born of your subjective experience. Just don't make them up or create these characters. I'm talking about your inner subconscious, which must be revealed rather than created. Might as well be at the reins and manage the little people inside you. Now that you have some frame of reference, let's get to the core. Animism, the mother of all religion. Everything has a soul or spirit. Don't think of it like some kind of metaphor or magical fabrication. Think of it more like character. Every pebble has a history, every tree, every grain of sand, every molecule of water. Your own flesh is derived from matter, not of your own making, not truly your own. All things are connected. Where is this spirit or anima, life force or energy, you may ask? Well, what facts can you gather from a stone in a landscape? How old is it? What has it been through throughout that time? Now, how does that make you feel? Don't wince. That feeling connects you, the subject, and the object. That is a real-time interaction. Whatever thread that feeling is attached to, that is the animating force, or pneuma, or spirit. It's symbolic and can be felt. Allowing there to be mystery and simple purity of feeling is part of the spiritual experience. We don't need to analyze or deconstruct everything. We need awe and wonder. It's a part of being human that should be integrated, not resisted. Intention is a powerful thing. Take this experiment run by a high school, for example, where two plants in the same conditions are treated differently. One with cruel words, and the other with encouraging words. Guess which one wilted and which one flourished. Now, this was pretty informal, not a true scientific experiment, but what does that matter? The experiment is not about how plants respond to tone and syllables, it's about our attitude. How we interact with the world matters. To me, spirituality is also about getting to the core of things. the deeper truths of existence, and how one can apply their experiences. If you're constantly deconstructing things without building anything, you are going to become a destructive person in some capacity. What's a more productive response to this video? To debunk it as pseudoscience? Or to take the actual message that they're trying to get across and wrestle with it? Marcus Aurelius talked about piercing through perceptions, seeing things for what they truly are. The bacon on my plate is sliced burnt flesh from a dead pig. The wine in my glass is rotted grapes. The egg I am cooking is chicken, period. Mystics of the modern era, particularly from Christian traditions, talk about seeing things for their symbolic value, since that is how we experience the world anyway. Words are made up by us. But those symbols are derived from our perceived experiences, which can be honed and clarified. I lean more towards seeing things for what they are outside my own perceptions because I understand I am not the center of the universe. In fact, my existence hardly even registers on the cosmic scale. However, I think it is useful to consider both literal and symbolic perspectives. Physical realities are, well, realities. I choose to understand the bacon on my plate as the burnt flesh of a dead pig, but from a spiritual perspective, I am grateful for that pig's existence. The fact that that specific pig was sacrificed for me, that's not something to be taken lightly. Considering the symbolic side of things can change how you live your life and who you associate with, who you buy your bacon from. The symbolic or spiritual realm has an effect on the physical realm. We need both. Recognize the physical reality, but also consider what you are grateful for and if you are being the kind of person you want to see more of. And there is likely something to these thousands of years of religious traditions preparing us for death. Perhaps near-death experiences are simply the brain tripping on DMT to ease the consciousness into non-existence. But the amount of stories where people hover over their bodies and are able to recount the layout of the operating room with complete accuracy after they die, despite losing consciousness long before they ever even enter the hospital, suggests that our awareness does indeed function in some capacity, at least for a short while after we die. NDEs, from many non-religious sources, report a feeling of coming home, of mystical experiences, and upon returning to the body and feeling the full weight of the material world again, it's the worst feeling ever. The chances of one single religion being the only truly objective way of living life are further reduced, especially considering most people who experience NDEs tend to leave organized religion in favor of the more amorphous endeavor of spirituality. They are reborn against their will, in alignment with God's will. No one is the same person after a near-death experience, so you would think every one of them would be course-corrected towards one specific path if indeed there really is only one specific path everyone must follow, all things being in God's control. I do think how we live our lives directly impacts our immediate post-death experience, and spiritual traditions help to bring people in alignment with that more mysterious part of themselves that survives past the body. Do I think our souls are released upon death and immediately hop into the next incarnating life form? Probably not. But at the end of the day, the word soul is a poetic term, a symbol. We have a vague idea of what it refers to, but we cannot comprehend the specifics of what the nearest real approximate to that word is. Like, we have the word tree, but it's an identifier. It does not fully encapsulate everything that makes a tree a tree. But at least we have something we can point to and say, well, it fits our criteria, therefore it is a tree. The soul is both different and alike. Everyone has a unique understanding of the soul, and yet in daily conversations we still get what people mean when they refer to the soul. The rough concept is identified. I think of the soul as a person's unique spirit, as every bird and stone has a unique spirit. But some people think of it as something of some material quality, perhaps behind a mortal veil. And yet, the two of us can still talk about the soul despite conceiving of it differently, like greed or hatred harming the soul. It is my firm belief that spirituality must be subjective. That is the realm where subjectivity must be allowed to flourish, because our spiritual interactions will always be unique to our specific place and time, influenced by culture. Symbols don't have to drastically change your lifestyle and turn you into a trippin' hippie. I still believe in private property, for example. Private property only exists because humans created it, but it's a useful thing. I mean, you own your body, right? The contents of your stomach? Surely the apple you picked in the wild is yours if it's in your hand before it reaches your mouth. Surely this concept of property applies to where you store your apples as well. It doesn't mean that if someone pilfers your apples, you need to mutilate them and display their carcass as a warning, but it does mean at least recognizing that they violated your property rights. The magnitude of the offense, or however you proceed, is up to you. Just remember to be the kind of person you want to see more of. Now, what's the real risk of lacking spirituality? Well, for one, if I personally were to operate strictly on a rational model, I'd probably be like this guy. And I don't want to be like him.
Is he shooting up at this new sky?
Come here. I want one. You want a little of this? Okay.
Now look, I enjoy champagne and foxy ladies as much as the next man, but they can wait. This old man just had the experience of a lifetime and is trying to impart his wonder, this spiritual experience, and this materialist productivity bot just goes, yeah, anyways, I got bitches to entertain. If he had any reverence for the human condition and our place in the cosmos, he would have at least let the man finish. Or maybe Jeff Bezos is just a cunt, I don't know. Point is, spirituality, incorporating our subjective and universal human experience, is important to cultivate to some extent in order to live a well-rounded life. At least in my experience. You don't need to believe in supernatural entities like ghosts, goblins, and ghouls. It is an awareness of the symbols that influence your life, accepting our shared subjective experiences within our mysterious universe. That's the bare minimum right there. We all have unique perceptions, restricted by our senses. Humans are not computers. You might not believe old Bessie actually spoke to her long-dead husband in a dream, but she did experience something. She interacted with the spirit or symbol of her husband in some way, even if that spirit or symbol is attached to a figment of her mind. It was a real spiritual experience, and good luck convincing her otherwise. It's easy for lay people to mock such things until they experience it for themselves. You can be skeptical, but have some respect for such a powerful human experience. At least she wasn't talking to an AI simulacrum of her husband and willfully fooling herself. The world's a crazy place, guys, and sometimes we find direction and wisdom outside the boundaries of logic or rational and material thought. And look, at the end of the day, the vast majority of people don't rely solely on logic, and will never be coerced into doing so. And trying will result in a humanity without a soul, without wonder, without an area of life where intuition can be free. The pursuit of getting everyone to think the same way is a very autistic attitude anyways. Trust me, I lived as hyper-rationalistically and logically as I could for a decade, and it was only after learning to love my subjectivity that I no longer simply value the beat of my heart, but treasure it in the deepest way. I accepted and embraced my death long ago, but now I actually feel like life has so much to offer that I just don't have enough time. But oh well, the clock stops ticking whenever it does, and I'm grateful for every moment in the meantime. To summarize, spirituality is about our subjective experience and relationship to the eternally mysterious side of life, filtered through the symbols that we allow to influence us. As long as we remain grounded in rational thought and do not disregard the material realm, I think we can embrace spirituality in a healthy manner. That's all I got for today. Be sure to smash that dislike button and leave your cruelest comment down below. Farewell.